Is the fact that I swear a lot going to be a problem? Should I?
Oh,
No, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. If there's anything you say that you want cut out, we'll do that.
Oh,
So
that's fine. Unless I say something very controversial, which is likely before 10 a.m. filter, but otherwise go for it. It's funny, isn't it?
Hello and welcome to another episode of Third Wheel. I'm one of your hosts, Hamish.
And I'm your other host, Aaron Conway.
And today we're joined by Armani, who we knew via the Boar at university, and she's now the founder of MESA Magazine. Would you like to introduce yourself a little?
Yeah, as you said, I'm Armani. I'm 24, not for long, which is depressing because we've all lost a year. So I'm from Manchester and I went to Warwick Uni with you guys, did a 2-year stint in London, and I've been spending the past year in my parents' house, locked down with the over 60s, really fun. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell. Like you said, I'm the co-founder of MESA Magazine, which stands for Middle East, South Asia. And so everything we cover is pretty much within the remit of Middle Eastern or South Asian culture or news, or it's just to sort of platform people from those backgrounds so they don't sort of have to always write about race or culture in the conventional ways that we always see in the media. And so we thought that was really important because we kept finding ourselves in that situation. So we wanted to create something where people could just be their whole self. So yeah, that's what I did this year.
Yeah, so I was going to ask this, when you say, just for like a bit of clarity, when you say keep writing about race or culture, when journalists are at other organizations, what does that necessarily like entail / mean in this case?
If you're a freelance journalist, you will send pictures off to editors. And so you'll sort of outline your story. But the only stories that a lot of people of colour seem to get commissioned will be about their race or their culture, or like sort of selling a pound of your flesh for a byline, so to speak. And so, yeah, it's a little bit disheartening when you've got like a whole range of things that you'd be happy to write about and discuss and that you're, equipped to discuss, but all people want to know about is like your experience of racism in Britain or how difficult it is to assimilate or, just the heavy stuff. And you guys all know, like, life's not really about that for us. Like, yeah, it's a part of it, but it doesn't make up the entirety of it. And yet I was finding like my portfolio was just quite heavily about being brown, and like my day-to-day life isn't that heavily about being brown. I don't actually register it that often.
Yeah.
So yeah, we wanted to create a space where people could just write about whatever they felt like. And so yeah, that's been really nice to see.
I didn't realize, I feel like I might have knew that MESA stood for like something, but I thought it just might have been like a really, like a word, like an actual.
God damn it. I'm not doing my branding right if you don't know that.
No, I knew it's. I
probably knew. I probably
Asian.
knew. And then you can see it on the website, obviously, as well. But yeah, you said like how it's like talking about like loads of different stuff. Yeah, I was scrolling through your website earlier and it's like, yeah, how to lose a guy in 10 hinge texts and
God, yeah, that was a funny one.
reviews of like restaurants and places and stuff.
Yeah, they're just sort of like the nicer, lighter pieces that are all part of our day-to-day aspects. Like, of course, like Middle Eastern and South Asian people date, dine out, those sorts of things. So their writing should reflect that. They should have a space to explore all the things that make them happy or that they think about. And so, yeah, that's been really refreshing to see. And there are so many stories out there as well. It's not like those stories aren't there waiting to be told or those experiences aren't waiting to be shared.
Yeah. And when you said you're not 24 for long,
yeah,
when's your birthday? Because this episode might be out by the time.
February. Maybe that is for long. Yeah, maybe that is for long. I don't know.
I was on one of my mates called me yesterday, Aki, or if he's listening. And he told me, he was like, my dad told me this really cool thing the other day. And he was like, if you add the year of the date you were born and your age, it will equal 2020. And I was like, but isn't that like, doesn't that happen like every year? Isn't that just happens when you like add your age to the year you're born? It just comes to the current year. And then he tried to like argue it with me. And I was like, no, that's just how it works, isn't it? Like, that's how time works. And he was like, oh shit. And then he was, yeah, I just thought that was a...
He was excited about that, man, and you crushed him.
I know.
His dad got it good as well. He thought his dad was a genius.
Yeah, he was like, oh, my dad told me like first thing in the morning. And I was like shocked. He was so shocked about it. Like he told me like on a random call. But
that stayed with him.
Yeah,
he was moved.
Yeah, a bit of a shame for him. But yeah, Hamish mentioned as well, like how we kind of met was through Warwick University and the Boar in particular.
Yeah.
What did you study at uni?
I studied English literature, and then obviously the Boar as a newspaper was like a natural side hobby my favorite cult is what I refer to the Boer as. You just have a look, and everyone you know has been part of the Boer in some way, and it's like that photo in Lemony Snicket where they find out that everyone knows each other. That's how I think of the Boer.
Yeah, every now and then you'll meet someone and like, I'll find out they've written like at least one piece or something.
That's what I mean.
Did you join the Boer in first year?
No, so I had that second year panic of, oh shit, I'm probably not very employable, am I? And then I was like, what can I do? What skills do I have? And so then I joined in second year. I think I started on travel with Jack Pravisa, who I think you know. Yeah, he's a very funny guy. And then I became lifestyle co-editor with Gerard Jones in third year, which was a little bit more me. And just, sort of had a blast with that.
Wait, what was that?
Lifestyle editor.
Oh, lifestyle. Okay, I thought you said lifestyle.
Am I too northern for you, Aaron?
No.
North style.
No, that's cool. So was like writing always something you thought, like especially like taking like English lit?
Yeah, definitely wanted to write in some capacity, but hadn't quite figured out what or where or how. So that was a really good place to sort of figure that out and to sort of get that practice in, find out what I was actually good at.
Yeah, was that something you picked up from like an early age from school?
So obviously being from an Asian background, it was all STEM growing up. So a lot of my A-levels was science and things like that. So I was all geared towards, I think it was dentistry at the time, which is super funny because it's just the least me thing ever. And then had like a existential crisis moment of rebellion where I was like, I'm not doing it. And then my parents were like, okay, like don't react, we're not forcing it on you. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So then I just did English, which was my one A-level that didn't have anything to do with science. And I had always liked writing on the side, but I'd never considered it as a career for me because like no one in my family's done it. It's just a bit, when you've got no knowledge of an industry or a job, you don't really know where to start with it. So I guess that's why I wasn't really sure until I got to uni, like what sort of writing or how to go about it.
Yeah. Were you good at the STEM subjects? Like, would you say like you could have done it if you wanted to?
Not naturally. It took like a lot of work to get like A's and B's. And then I had one rogue U grade in, so I was doing really well in A-level. I think this was A-level biology. No, it must have been A-level biology. And then on results day, that was my only C grade. And it's because one exam was just a U. Banner in the works.
Was it in physics by any chance?
No, biology.
Okay. Because I got one, there was one exam I got a D in and that just brought like my whole
It just shits your average, yeah.
Yeah. And I don't even know, I think I came out of that exam being like, you know what, I did all right.
Oh, that happens.
How'd you even get a U? I thought a U was like, you don't even do anything.
Or maybe it wasn't a U. Maybe I was just being dramatic, which is very on brand for me. But I've written it down in history as a U, so that's what it shall remain. But it was like Biol 4. I remember the module because it haunts me to this day. It must have been pretty shit to bring down A's and B's to a C.
The thing is that I think E's and F's also do it just because that's what happened in my further maths year. I remember I focused so hard on my normal maths that my further maths in second year in the A-levels was fucked. And I ended up with a C because I only got E's and F's in it. And I got my A star in maths, but then my A got dragged down to a C in further maths. And I was just like...
You got an A star in maths and a C in...
I put
range.
Yeah, so I said it in the past as well before. Basically what happened was I put everything into C3, C4 because you had to get... Between them, you had to get 180 total.
Yeah.
So out of 200, UCAS, whatever it was, or the points, to get the A star.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything else is just add on. So I'm focused on that. So my first exams went to this, it was like C3, C4, then S2, D2, and all that stuff. So, and C3, I never walked out an exam feeling like I got 100 in my life apart from that one exam. I was gassed. C4, I knew I got just enough to get that 180 total.
Yeah.
And I was done, yeah. And then after that, it just went straight down. Like, I just remember seeing when you see the module grades.
Yeah.
When I saw the E's and F's, I was like, oh, fuck, what's the average now?
I hide that breakdown from my parents. I don't think it's a failure if you didn't even try.
No, I tried. It's just that I spent too much time trying to get that one A star, but which was worth it because that got me into Warwick. So
there you go.
So yeah.
Did you do all STEM subjects, Hamish?
Yes. Wait, ICT counts as STEM, right?
Yeah. Tech.
Does it?
Okay.
Yeah.
I think so.
We'll count it. We'll count it.
Yeah. So
if you was going to do a subject that wasn't STEM, what would?
Yeah, I have no other modules that I would have done because our school didn't have much of a choice for me.
What do you mean for you?
So like, from what I like,
Yeah.
the school didn't have much options. Even like the stuff I wanted to learn, like computing, like the coding side, earlier age didn't have it. So I was just forced into doing IT, which is just basically the Excels and the Adobe Dreamweaver and stuff here instead of doing coding. So like I was just like, yeah, it is what it is.
But say you were forced to do a non-STEM
A
subject.
non-STEM subject. I'm trying to
Just
think.
what would it be?
Get creative.
Your most of your least favorites.
You know what?
I don't know. What is there? What are the choices? There's like history, geography, English.
There's media, I think.
Business studies, politics.
No, fuck business. I hate essays, so I want to avoid anything with essays.
Okay. Performing arts, theatre.
No.
Theatre
Art.
studies.
I leave the making me look stupid on this podcast. I'll leave it exclusively there. I'd say maybe media could have been doable with my skill set.
Yeah.
But even that came with essays, and I couldn't be bothered doing essays. So the only reason I did media is because it would have had like video editing and stuff, and I was interested in it back then.
Yeah.
But I can't think of anything. Wait, what other subjects? Could you lot list subjects?
Psychology is sort of a science.
Oh no.
Pseudoscience, as they say.
I did sociology at GCSE because I had like my compatibility with modules I picked at the time.
So yeah, you can have that one.
But I wouldn't want to do it just because of the teacher. But
yeah, but would you want to do it more than any of the others?
I'm thinking media is the only one. But if that counts as tech, then it's an L. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
this game is not going well.
Yeah, I think I've just been forced so much into STEM that I can't even see.
Is that from like family or from school, do you think?
Well, they would have wanted me to do accounting and stuff, like an office job, as they call it. And then I just continued doing computer science despite them saying otherwise. And then when I got paid well, suddenly it changed.
Like an office job, though, right?
Yeah, but like they didn't think of it as like, when like Asian families they have these reputable jobs that they think are reputable.
Yeah.
So like accountants,
doctor, lawyer.
Yeah, all that stuff. Yeah.
Engineering.
And I was just like, look, no, actually, my parents, I'm not a fan of engineering because my brother's one. And they keep telling him, go do a job like me now. Even though I think he's smarter than me. I'm like, let him do what he wants. He likes
Would you say you're a software engineer as well?
Yeah, but like
add some sauce to your
They see me working from home doing the office job. And they're just like, yeah, you got a good job, getting paid well. It's okay. And because their friends have told them this, it reassures them. So like, because their friends have said it, as I've said in the past, like when I was at uni, they didn't like me doing computer science. Like, why do you do computer science outside of London? Yeah, because outside of London, there's no good unis apart from Oxford, Cambridge, obviously. That's all they'd heard of. And then their friends told them that Warwick Comp Sci was sick. And then suddenly Warwick Comp Sci was sick, apparently.
You can like say it to your blue in the face, but until some random auntie gives it a stamp of approval.
Exactly.
Even though she has no credentials or knowledge of it. And then they're like, okay.
And they're like, oh, my son does computer science at like University of Middlesex. I'm like, that's shit. I don't care. The thing is, like, I think it's just because of the world they were exposed to. So like, they're not aware of like how much more options we have, at least because of the education that we got. So, and then when they obviously realize that we're getting paid well, we're doing decent, maybe we're liking the job, maybe we're not. Then they're like, okay.
Yeah.
But then they still need that one person external to us. It won't matter what we say. I could be earning 6 figures tomorrow and they'll still be like, no, you got a shit job. It has to be someone that reaffirms them. Yeah.
They need that validation.
I'm just like.
But yeah, writing and like English.
Yeah.
Did you find it fun?
Yeah, I always found it fun. And then like a lot of my teachers would like think my writing was really good or like ask to use it as an example for the next class. And obviously like my dorky ass was like, okay, validate me. So I'd get like a buzz from someone thinking I was like written something that had entertained them or made them laugh or something. Especially because like, I wouldn't say I was shy growing up, but like I definitely am a better writer than I am speaker, I would say. And so like I found like that was a place to like get things down on the page or like express myself, so to speak. So yeah, I just found like that was a natural fit for me. And it's a little bit more private as well. Like you don't need a person to write to. You can just write for yourself. Whereas I think if you sort of speak to yourself, you'll probably get sectioned.
Quick tangent here. Do you think texting someone is easier than speaking to them in person?
If I want to be honest, yeah, for sure. Oh, I love a paragraph. I do. Yeah. You see those 3 dots from me for a good half an hour.
Do you not think so, Hamish?
No. I was thinking like I do. It is easier just conveniently texting them. But then I do. If I'm going to get personal with someone, then I prefer to be in person. I just don't like doing it over text.
It depends what for. Like,
yeah.
If you want to say something serious, I prefer to hide behind a screen and then turn my phone over and not look at it for a while. But if it's like just for a laugh or to catch up or whatever, I love phone calls. I love chatting in person.
Yeah. It's always funny when if I'm texting someone and they send like a voice note back. I always find that really awkward for some reason.
Really?
I'm like, wait, do I send a voice note back now or do I continue like texting?
Aaron, what's her name?
No name.
Okay.
It's mostly
me.
guys that do that.
I'm the person that sends the unsolicited voice note. Is that not an acceptable thing to do?
No, it's just like I'm then like in a position where I don't really want to send a voice note, but I'm like, is it awkward now if I text back?
I don't think
I text back anyways, yeah.
Yeah, text back anyway. I think that's
Okay.
the etiquette, is do what you want, but I'm too lazy to type this, so I'm going to say it.
The thing that gets complicated with replying to a voice note is that you have to reply to it multiple times, because if they was replying to different points in the text, then you have to reply to that message 3 times, bringing up the exact point you're referring to, because there's no distinction.
A lot of these voice notes, you can't hear it back. It just sends it
Wait,
like,
what?
straight
You
away.
can't?
On Instagram, you can't.
Yeah.
Like, you can't play it back before you send it, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's true. And on WhatsApp too, but you can delete them for everyone.
Yeah.
Which I find so sus whenever you've like not looked at your phone and like someone in the family chat's done a delete for everyone. I'm like, what rude meme did you drop in the family chat that you've had to backtrack?
Yeah, so true. But I think it's quite interesting what you said about you found yourself being more, you felt you were a better writer than you were a speaker. Because when I think of people like good at the English language, I just assume, or people who are write and people who like speak.
Yeah.
Not necessarily us on like podcasts, but people more better than us. I just feel like our English language are just good at it. I bet people who write can like speak well. Do you know what I mean?
I think with writing though, like you can edit, you can improve, you can use a thesaurus to find that fancier word. Whereas when you're speaking, like you have to have it like sort of right there, if that makes sense. But with like writing, like you can go through, you can edit, you can make it better. You can sit with a thought and let it adapt into something else. Whereas with speaking, like it's also a media, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So you also can't butcher the pronunciation of the word if you're writing it, sorry.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, I've been there so many times. And when you're playing like Articulate as well, have you played that game?
No.
No, but we need to.
What is it like?
It's like a board game where like you're on teams and you have to get your partner to say the word without saying the word, obviously, so you have to describe it. So that's like a Syed family Christmas special that we always do. And I'm really good at it, but a lot of the words I've learned have been from reading, so I won't necessarily know how to say it. And then like 2 of my sisters that went to private school, obviously like laughing in my face because I've like called the Hebrides the Hebrides or something like that, not knowing what it is because, yeah, I didn't go to private school, so...
Yeah, I feel that, don't worry.
The shame.
Fuck you, Aaron. I'm joking. Aaron didn't go to private school.
I didn't go to private
Fuck you, all the private school you start listening. Nishri. Who did I miss out? Z, Yash. Pagans.
Did you or did you not? Did you not?
No, I didn't.
His area is so nice that he may as well have.
Where are you from? Where
are you going to say?
I'm from Essex.
Are you?
Yeah.
Well, why are you so well spoken?
Am I?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm. Firstly, I'm on a podcast, so like if I'm down like at the pub with my mates, it's a bit different.
Oh,
like,
you doing your podcast?
Yeah.
For it?
Yeah. Just slightly. It's if you listen to the first few episodes, I think I put it on a bit more. It's still like a bit present, I think.
Okay, I do it on the phone, but I'm more concerned that it's like when I'm interviewing people, like if they can't understand me, so I just do it for ease rather than anything else.
Yeah, but I definitely don't have like, I'm not the typical Essex accent kind of person.
No, not at all. To be fair, like I don't sound mank.
Yeah, I wouldn't like. I don't know. I'm not really good at recognizing accents in a way, unless they're like really obvious. But
so, like, I think I would sound like that if I was actually talking like I was from Manchester. So I don't actually sound like a Gallagher brother.
No, I'm a Man United fan, so I listen to a lot of people talking about Man United on like YouTube and stuff. So, and you definitely don't have like similar kind of accent. I'm trying to find if there's like a mini articulate game online, but definitely easy to find. Yeah, so like writing, was it always kind of journalism and like that path of writing you wanted to go down?
I think that I would try and write like stories, but I had like writing commitment issues where if it's longer than like a couple of pages, I'm out. So I don't think I could write like fiction or anything like that. I'm like, no, I've had enough. I'm bored of my own thoughts now. I'd like to leave. So I guess it just ended up being journalism that way. And I think like other people's stories are probably much more interesting than my ideas. So I quite like like listening to other people and chatting to other people about their experiences, because as well, like, I can tell this through like a lot of the work I've done so far, because I'm quite interested in human interest stories. Like, I don't think people realize what is an interesting story. They'll just start talking and they won't be telling you the story that they think they're telling you won't necessarily be the story that you want. They'll say something that sparks an interest in you because you know what to look for. And they won't even realize that it's like interesting or unique. And I do this with my parents a lot. Like, I'll get them talking about something and they'll mention something just in passing, and you're like, hang on a minute, like that's no small thing. So like, for example, like I'll be asking like my parents about like when they were getting married and stuff, and they'll be like, oh yeah, and then our honeymoon was just like a road trip back to Pakistan for 2 weeks. And I'm like, hang on, like what? You did like a road trip through Afghanistan back to Pakistan? Like, that's sick. I don't want to hear about what you're talking about. I want to hear about that. And so then like people don't know where their best stories lies, I guess, what I'm trying to say in a really long-winded way. So
yeah, we've had some people like that on the podcast, where like some people like might flex on like some big stuff to do. The one in particular I remember was Kiru. I can't remember what episode he was, what number he was on. But then he was speaking, and he was like talking about how he was like building homes in Kenya.
Yeah.
At the age of like 18. And he was saying it like so calmly, like, yeah, no, we just built some houses here, and like kind of like moved on. And then I remember being like, wait, hold up. Like, you did what?
Do you have like a particular like piece in mind that you wrote that was like the turning point, or like some of your best and favorite pieces that you always keep? Like there's always that one save, for example. Maybe you wrote it last year, maybe you wrote it like when you first started, or maybe you wrote it like the other week, something like that. Is it that one piece that you have that is that turning point?
In terms of like realizing other people's stories, do you mean, or just like
you wanting to do journalism or something?
Oh, I'm not sure if there was like one piece that set it off. I think I have always known, but I don't think I've ever really been that impressed with my own work until recently. So it was supposed to be a 22-week like NCTJ, that's the National Council for Trained Journalists, I think. I would hope I've said that correctly. Like a diploma. So it's like a fast track where you do like media law, shorthand, and digital journalism, and they basically train you up. Obviously, that moved onto Zoom with COVID, which is not what I paid for, but we moved. So I think that I have noticed that I've gotten better at telling stories since doing that. So I've always had, like the desire and the interest to write. But I think I fell into a trap of writing about myself a lot because I wasn't really sure how to go about writing a story with multiple people that you interview or sources and putting it all together. Like it's not an easy thing to do without anyone having told you how to do it. So I think there were loads of pieces I wrote that sort of sparked that interest. Like when we were at Warwick, I think we wrote a feature about 60s KKK action in Leamington Spa. A really random town. You wouldn't think that there'd be much on there, but there just really was. So I think like that sort of set me off wanting to get better or hone my craft and learn how to speak to other people and put together a story. But I think, the work I've done this year is probably the work I'm like proudest of or feels like most where I want to go from now on. If that answers your question.
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Yeah, it's quite. I listened to the podcast you were on, Nadine Talks or something.
Oh yeah, Nadine Bachelor Hunt. Yeah, so she was a student with me. She's got a very big Twitter reach.
Okay, yeah, shout her out.
There's always something controversial on there.
Yeah, you guys are talking about like how you have like opinion pieces, and how that's kind of maybe you shouldn't really be doing them. And I found that quite interesting because like from someone like not involved in that kind of industry, I just feel like I see people post opinion pieces on like Twitter or whatever, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. Like I don't really think too much about it.
So the reason that we're saying that, there's nothing wrong with opinion pieces. That is a very valid route. But we studied news journalism, like that's the course that we did. And so if you want to get into news reporting, like you have to be objective and impartial, and there are whole like codes of ethics on it. And so the more opinion pieces you do and the more you're known for sort of having an opinion, the less easy it is to be seen as impartial when you're reporting the news. And you'll see like a lot of backlash. Like people always think like if you say that something is racist, that you're not even being impartial. So the standards of expectation are really high from readers, and they love to sort of, there's a BBC journalist called Rhianna Croxford who was left-wing before she even became a journalist and had obviously shared some like Labour endorsements or something. I'm sort of paraphrasing here, so if I've said anything incorrect, that's why. I'm just sort of pulling from my brain. And so a lot of people who were trying to like bring her down or didn't like what she was writing about because she does a lot of race and community focused work were saying like, oh, you'll be a BBC reporter that's not even impartial because she said this. And she's like, hang on, I wasn't even a journalist and I can't live my life knowing that I was going to be a journalist in the future and then never express an opinion in the meantime. And so it's like, yeah, it's just very hard to, I guess, row back once you've been seen as someone that's not that impartial. So that's probably why we were discussing it in that way.
Okay, yeah. No, that makes sense. And then, so like graduating from uni.
Yeah.
What did you end up doing?
So I did an internship at the Sunday Times magazine and I was all set to try and like sort of pursue journalism. And then I think like that was in September. And then I was working at Waitrose, you know, like serving Tories, and it was just getting me down. That's an objective fact. I haven't said anything, man. I've just said I was serving Tories in Waitrose.
Hamish loves Waitrose, you know.
Wait, what? I don't know what you
carried
did.
out Waitrose back.
No.
He upgraded recently.
No.
He got a big job.
Next to work, there was only a Waitrose. So if I had to go buy chocolate or something, you know, to make me put up with the day, I had to go Waitrose.
Yeah.
It's not like I intentionally went Waitrose.
Mate, I'd walk the extra mile to go Aldi or something.
Sometimes you just have to go and get Waitrose essential pate. It has to be done. No, so like people would obviously come in and be like looking for just the roguest things. And I'm like, don't even know what that is. But if I say that to you, you're just going to think I'm trash. So let me just go look in a random aisle and pretend like I even know what you've just said. No, so yeah, I was doing that and I was just getting frustrated that I wasn't making like speedy process with journalism. And now that it's like 3 years on and I'm still sort of not where I expected to be, it's silly that I was even getting frustrated at that point. But so then I sort of widened my search net a bit and I was like, right, like I need to get that first job because that's the hardest one to get in my mind. And so I did communications for a bank in London, which is the least me thing ever. But I just thought, okay, like a job's a job and there are some transferable skills in there. Like you do have to produce their company magazine and things like that. So yeah, I did that for 2 years and I loved it for like a year and a half. And then I was really ready to leave and it just wasn't happening. And I was like, yeah, getting really frustrated about it and not really knowing if I'd like gone too far off track to bring it back. And so that's when I started considering like doing the course. And then like I used all of my, you know, blood money from the bank, jokes, to fund my course. I used that juicy bonus to fund my course. And so, yeah, I decided like 2020 was going to be my year long. And so I quit my job first day back in the office, January 2nd. And I was like, can't do it anymore. It seems to be a common theme. I think I've said that twice now where I just dramatically declare that I'm not going to do something anymore. And nobody around me is remotely bothered. And they're like, okay, go for it. Yeah. So I did that on January 2nd before I'd even got onto the course. So I quit my job and I was just like, God's will, it's up to you now. And then I did get on, so that was fine. And then I came back to Manchester in February. And then lockdown happened in March. So we have to laugh.
Honestly, I love that there's someone else saying the stuff that like I basically say, like the rich youth and all this stuff. Right now, half the listeners know that they know who they are. Anyone who mocks the working class, cough, cough, Aaron.
What do you mean?
You private school Tory, Aaron.
What the? How is this happening?
No, yesterday I actually saw a story because I was just scrolling through, just catching up to see if I needed to read anything on your profile. If there's anything I should have known before the episode. So I saw a story you posted about the STEM subject thing. What was it? It was like we're usually forced down STEM subjects, and then I was just like, oh my god, tomorrow could be an absolutely lit episode. Because it was like and when the working class try to say that they don't want to like, what was it? It was a really good quote in there about something like the working class try to speak up or like don't be yourself or something.
Yeah, so the whole article was the idea of like debunking the myth that you should be yourself when you're entering your career. And it's basically saying like if you're from like a non-traditional background or a working class background, it's not good advice to send someone in there to be themselves, you know, like Guz Khan type, like with your Brummie accent and your badman backwards cap and just saying like, rise it. Like it's not gonna fly, is it? So the whole article was trying to say like, that's a dangerous myth to tell people that being themselves is okay in an environment that doesn't favor sort of their background or the way they've been raised or brought up. And to think that people can go up against this system that's so, you know, very traditional without, you know, internalizing it or coming at the other side a little bit different, or even just getting a lot of rejection and feeling not good enough. Yeah, I really enjoyed reading that.
So what's this saying to be if you're not going to be yourself?
So I think it was less about saying what to be and more about just debunking myths. So one of the myths in there was like STEM careers are the most like secure subjects for like job security. That's probably what I'm trying to say inarticulately. And then he sort of moved on to discuss how like in the future it's actually better to have those skills that can't be done by, automation, can't be done by I feel like I don't have the lexicon to finish this sentence, so please jump in at any time. Like basically, I didn't want to say the robots, but the robots. So
let's go to robots.
Yeah, basically what people like me and Aaron tried to solve.
Yeah. So this is probably extra triggering for you. So those careers can like you can easily train like a robot to code, but you can't train them in like emotional intelligence or like creative writing or conversation or those sorts of skills. So actually, STEM's on the way out, kids. Get a backup plan, Aaron. Hamish.
Yeah, that's what we're doing here. That's what work in progress.
Yeah, that main quote that I saw was when you go up against the system, I was like, don't get me started. I brought that up yesterday in our call that we had, like our social call, and basically they're like, yeah, you still have to adapt to them. I'm not saying you don't have to adapt here, but telling them to be yourself is a insane risk. And I agreed with that. I was like,
it is risky.
Do you think both of you have been yourself?
I tried to be myself early on, but that was too much. Now I try to be a bit more corporate and it works a little better, I think.
I make a lot of jokes in the workplace that I probably shouldn't and have gotten away with so far, but should probably check myself. So I think I do, but I think at the same time, like I went to quite a white posh school. Like it was a state school, but it was in a nice area. And so I think I learned very early on how to mix the two together and still sort of be somewhat professional while still like taking the piss at the same time.
Yeah,
I think that's fair.
But yeah, I think that's something I learned early on, that maybe if I'd gone to a different school, like the one some of my sisters went to, where they just used to like shank each other and beat it out. The Kingsway school, shout out. Good PR, I'm sure.
This is in Manchester. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I live on the border of like Manchester, Stockport and Cheshire. So Cheshire's the nice bit. Cheshire's tier 2 and Manchester's tier 3. So I basically...
Cheshire's where all like the football players live. I know that.
Yeah. All the Man United lot live in Audley Edge, which is like one town over from the town, that I went to school. So that's pretty much why it was like a good state school and why I figured out how to balance those two worlds, because I literally lived on the border of the two of them. It's a bit mad.
Yeah, I remember like making a joke actually only a few weeks ago, because it was about like if we're having a Christmas meal, and basically because I openly joke about like financials and money stuff, like I just pretty much say it like I was really to my team, that is, but then one person was like, so when I asked you, because there was like confirmation of like a Christmas voucher for like we'd have to do a on call like a Christmas meal, but would be reimbursed like 30 quid or something. So I was just like, look, I don't care what we do as long as we get me that 30 quid voucher so I can order the Nando's, because that's enough to feed a family. And then basically I got told off for saying but it was only one person. No one, everyone else was laughing in the background, because I was still laughing because I was so joking, but I didn't say anything after because I knew it got worse. She said, you always joke about money, man. Life's not all about money. And then in the background, my colleague texted me saying, it's easy to say that people have money in it. I'm like, don't get me started. Don't get me started.
It's only a joke because you're actually going Waitrose with that 30 quid, David, to pick up your turkey.
There's no Waitrose anywhere near where I live, you know that?
Is there not?
No.
Well, yeah, I can assume that.
Yeah,
I miss working at Waitrose because you get like mad discount on John Lewis and Waitrose, and I need that in my life. So maybe I should go back and get a Saturday job or something.
Does the discount help though? Is it still with the discount? Is it still like cheaper than Tesco?
No, it probably brings it back to... probably brings it back down to reality, to be honest.
Yeah, but the standard Waitrose quality, like compared to a Tesco brand quality, for example, brownies, is a bit better. But I think then Tesco recently...
I wouldn't know, Hamish, but you obviously
I'm not sure. I feel like you should like buy loads of them and test them out, and you have to like blindfold guess which one's which.
Like a year ago, it went back to Tesco because the Waitrose quality somehow dropped or something. I'm not sure what they did different, but it just wasn't the same.
You seem experienced in this... in this
Aaron, when you literally... Aaron trying to stitch me up as some Tory shopping out Waitrose.
Well, you just literally tried to do the same to me.
I didn't stitch you up though. I exposed facts.
It's fake news. We're talking about journalism and you're reporting fake news, mate.
Isn't that what journalists do? I'm joking.
Oh, wow.
Pew, 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 pew. all the
Shots
journalists
fired.
listening to this right now are writing an article saying that you're cancelled.
You're getting an opinion piece, Hamish, about why you're fucking cancelled.
Honestly, that's only inevitable given my opinions that come out on the podcast.
I'm surprised you haven't been cancelled yet.
It's coming soon. When you go up against the system, it's inevitable.
Yeah, it is. Don't be yourself, Hamish.
Yeah.
What's with like all the advancement of tech and all that kind of stuff, everything's kind of moving to digital. And I guess the industry's kind of traditionally a very, like, you buy the newspaper or something like that.
Yeah.
Is that affected like your work in any way? Or do you not really notice it? Because maybe most of your stuff is digital.
Yeah, so it hasn't affected any freelance work I do, but it probably is affecting my job prospects. So if you can sort of offload to freelancers and just pay them a one-off fee, I guess you're less likely to take on like a staff writer who you would need to report, let's say, in an office. And there are, like, I've noticed that when I was applying for jobs, the only places that would really have like graduate schemes and stuff for like the Daily Mail. And I'm like, no, it's not really going to happen, is it? So it really is quite sad that the sort of most, in my opinion, the publication that lacks impartiality and goes after like vulnerable communities is the one that makes enough money to sustain, to hire new talent and to sustain itself. So it's a bit concerning that you have to have these sort of sensationalist, offensive headlines in order to get enough clicks to justify having enough money to actually have people in the office, which is a bit of a scary thought. But I think it's quite easy to get commissioned for digital publications now. But I guess as well, like, I've never known any different. So it's not like I worked, in the 90s or the 80s or whatever you want to call it, and now I'm experiencing this. So I guess I can't comment, from an informed perspective. But I think that there are fewer jobs out there. But yeah, if you want to just write as a side hustle or on the side of a more regular gig, then that's not affected as much.
Have you ever done work for free? Like any pieces?
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of debate around whether that's ethical, whether that should be done. And I think that at the start of your career, if you're writing for publications that themselves aren't making money, so like I wrote for gal-dem when it was just starting up and they didn't pay at that stage, and that was fine to me. Like I could reconcile that with my ethics, because I was like, no one's making any money. It's not like anyone's profiting off of this. It's just a community. So if people want to sort of get a few articles under their belt when they're just starting out, I think that's a better way to go about it. But if there are like these full-on institutions that don't pay writers, that's pretty fucked up, I would say. Like, no one should be profiting if you're not being paid.
Yeah, I think it's the same, like freelancing in general, whatever kind of you do, like web development or photography or videography, like at the start of your career.
So yeah, to sort of establish yourself and get
build a portfolio kind of thing.
Exactly.
But yes, so you mentioned like your kind of work stuff after uni.
Yeah.
So we have in our notes, like going for your passion versus a kind of corporate route.
Yeah. So I guess like what I mean by that is like I spent those 2 years in finance and I found it like soul destroying, even though like I was getting good money and like paying rent in London and like I was able to afford to do things. But my happiness then compared to my happiness now when I'm freelancing and I have much less money and I have to like make things go a little bit further, it just doesn't compare. And I spent that whole time whilst I was in finance thinking about like what I would rather be doing, and it was writing and it was creativity. And I think that if you have that passion in you, there's not really enough money in the world to sort of put that to one side. I think like you'll always come back to it. So I found like over the sort of 2 years that I was working there that I just sort of kept having those thoughts, and I realized that 2 year stint just wasn't worth it. I think it added confidence to my sort of character, and it did help me like grow up a little bit, like living in London on your own and just getting on with it. But in terms of my career, I don't feel like it added anything other than social skills. So
not like any experience that you think you got in that kind of environment?
I mean, to a certain degree, but like sort of after a while, I just felt like I wasn't really progressing, especially because I was a creative in a corporate industry. I was communications in a bank. I was the only person doing that role. There wasn't really anyone to learn from because no one really knew what to do anyway. Like they were all like corporate. So I didn't have anyone to learn from, nor did they have any kind of career path for me to progress up, because they just needed someone to schedule their posts and make their magazine and then go home at 5. So I just sort of felt like it wasn't the right environment for me at the start of my career. It sort of seems like the kind of retirement shift when you just want to clock in, clock out, and you're not really bothered. But I guess I'm a big believer in like learning by contrast. So by doing something that you know wholeheartedly you don't want to do, that you can then rule it out as something you don't want to do again, and then you've learned exactly what it is that you do want to do by comparison. So I say that's what I got from it, as well as like a lot of friends and like colleagues that I did really enjoy being around.
What is the corporate route in writing? Like, because like for tech or software engineering, it's kind of like a bank.
Yeah, so there's like copywriting jobs, communications, that sort of thing. I think copywriting is probably the one that a lot of people go down.
What's copywriting?
So like any sort of website, you could like write the content on it, or any company that sells items, you write the product description, things like that. I've never really looked into it that much because I went down the sort of communications route, but every company will need like press officer or publicity officer or someone to do their communication. So I guess when I say corporate, it's more like the company or the environment rather than the skills. So it's just what you're writing about will tend to be different, like not that exciting.
I always thought, I don't know why, I probably just had mistaken it. I never probably corrected myself. So I thought copywriters are the people that write down the meeting notes and stuff like that. They could be something else. I don't know what they're called. You know, the people that write down the meeting notes that sometimes they're all like in the standard TV shows you see in the lawyer's courtroom and all that stuff. They're just doing the writing. What are those called then?
Like a transcript.
Yeah, those people. I thought they were copywriters. I thought like, do you know how like PAs would go around and write down like the important notes if needed? I thought all this time.
I don't know
I
don't know what they're called.
Okay.
But I know what you're talking about. I've been watching a lot of like true crime stuff recently, and like there was one. What was it? The Trials of the Chicago 7. I watched that on.
Oh yeah, that's on
Netflix
my list.
the other day. And they're in court or whatever, and there's someone like typing on a typewriter, like basically the whole conversation that's going on, and like how fast they're typing is insane.
Yeah,
like to track everything, like just as, like if somebody was typing out now live what we were saying, like I'd lose track after like a minute.
So I've had to do shorthand as part of my course.
Shorthand. That's it.
Yeah. Oh, is that what you meant?
Yeah. So when someone has to write the notes down as you're speaking or something, right? That's what shorthand is, right?
Yeah. Shorthand is like I have not even got my notebook around, so I don't even think I can show you. But it looks like Arabic. Like it ends up being symbols. You have to get to like 100 words a minute on this course if you want to be gold standard, and it's fucking tough.
100.
Yash showed us a booklet. So Yash, I don't know if you remember, Yash, you also worked at the Bora at a point. He was a journalist.
Oh yeah.
And he showed us this little booklet. He had like a palm-sized booklet, and he had to copyright when he was at this interview, I think with Roger Federer and so on.
I found it.
We have no video for the listeners, but oh Lord.
Oh wait, so it's actually like a language.
Looked like the letter at one point, but it no longer looks like that letter because it ends up being like chopped and changed to fit other letters. Your face right now is such a meme.
I thought it was just like, I thought it just, you were saying symbols because it looks like symbols because you were writing it so quick that it's kind of like.
No, genuinely ends up being like Arabic. It looks like Arabic.
Oh, mad. Shit,
I'm not sure how we got onto that. I feel like I had a point, but I've lost it now.
We're doing like corporate route. So your passion. So then would you say MESA is the passion side of that?
Yeah, I think so. But just sort of like journalism as a whole is the passion side for me. Maybe less so news, as much as it's super important and I would love to have a career in it. I don't think it sustains me or fulfills me in the way that like I said to you earlier, like hearing people's stories, or especially ones that we never usually hear about, like marginalized stories. So I do some freelance press and comms for this project called Tape Letters that I think I spoke to you briefly about on DMs at one point.
Yeah.
And so that's like an oral history project that basically in the 60s, 70s and 80s, Pakistani migrants who came to Britain who couldn't necessarily read or write would send cassette tapes back to their family in Pakistan as a form of like oral letters. And so the sort of things on there will be like long distance parenting, like someone who sent his kid to Britain to get a better education and he would sort of parent him over tapes. And then there was like a long distance couple getting to know each other over tapes. And so like when I hear stories like that are like fucking incredible, but you never really hear about them anywhere else. Like I like finding those stories that people in those communities have always known about and not even thought anything of it, but then when like someone that's that can relate to those communities comes along and says, actually, there's merit in that. That's a really interesting thing that you should be sharing with the world. I think that's sort of what gets me excited about storytelling and writing in that way.
Yeah, because when you said earlier how like you've been trained in like, I forgot what you said, news writer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like, because I feel like isn't like start writing stuff like that and opinion pieces just more interesting to write, more fun than news?
Oh, than news. Yeah, I think it depends on what you're trying to achieve. Like, if you want to write some big expose on some politician, and obviously you have to do that very factually based, so you don't get like sued to shit. Like that could be fun. That could get someone out of bed in the morning. But for me, it's more human stories that excite me. So I guess it's just down to personal taste at the end of the day. But I'm a bit more of a waffler anyway, so I think I'm more suited to features writing, which tends to be a bit lengthier, a bit of a slower pace, and you can sort of focus on the stories more. Whereas with news writing, you want to focus on those facts and like amplify them with stories, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So you mentioned it briefly, like how kind of what MESA is.
Yeah.
But how did you like, what kind of time period are we looking at? When did you think like, okay, I'm going to do this?
So I think in 2018, I was trying to put together a publication that was just South Asian focused, because I still felt that like gap in the market. Like gal-dem is amazing. I think that
What's gal-dem?
gal-dem's a publication written by women of colour, and it sort of came about when we were at uni and has taken off and is like a self-sustained business now that like salaries people and that might not be in the industry otherwise, or those sorts of things, commissions those stories. But they were for women only, which is obviously an important space. And also I think predominantly like Afro-Caribbean writers, I think. Like they obviously still commission like Asians and other minorities, but I wanted to create a space that was solely focused on that Asian community. But then I was speaking to my Turkish friend who also had sort of a similar idea, and we were both sort of people that were lacking a few skills that we found in the other and felt like able to do something together. And so we found MESA. And I think that there's so many diverse cultures within Middle East and South Asia that, you know, like the average white person might like dump us all into one category, but actually like the differences just even between countries within those continents are so vast that we wanted a space to unpack that all, where I feel like the only thing that sort of links us all was like, I guess, the religions that exist in the region. Like that is probably the only thing that we really have in common. Like comparing Saudi Arabia to Pakistan, what have they got in common at the end of the day? It's probably just religion. So it was nice to have a space where you could actually explore those cultures with nuance and really hone in and focus and get to know the communities that actually live there. Like we have a very close relationship with drag performers in Turkey now, and that's such a random niche. Like you wouldn't even think like in a Muslim country that there's such a big community of like drag performers or you know, the queer community. And so it's been nice to sort of focus on where we come from in a new way, rather than just talking about race, actually like find detail in the stories and stories that exist sort of, outside of being a person of color in a way that I'm not going to find if I pitch to a mainstream publication.
Yeah. What was the reception like when you first started it?
Yeah. So I think that like everyone's been so supportive of it. There are people like chipping in to do their bit, because obviously we're a volunteer organization from top to bottom. There's no one's making any money off of it, which obviously we want to change eventually, but it's not really been the year for that. So a lot of people were like chipping in to like let us know about like SEO, or let us know about like Facebook advertising and things. Like people who saw themselves reflected in what we were doing wanted to sort of chime in and help us sort of get off the ground, which was really nice. And I think that you can tell a lot about the importance of what you're doing if people feel like they want to help you out and help you grow and help you establish yourself. So yeah, the reception's been really nice, and I think people are just happy to finally have a place, well, not finally have a place because there are others, but sort of have a place where you're just starting out, where people will give you like a little bit of help on finding your voice or finding your writing style, because it's hard to start out as it is, but then it's also hard to start out as a writer of color in an industry that's really predominantly white, and it's also just hard to find stories if you're always told that your stories aren't good enough or interesting enough. So yeah, the response has been really positive in that sense.
And like, I guess like getting interviews with people and stuff like that, like being a purely like voluntary based kind of similar thing where it's people willing to help.
Yeah, for sure. This has been insane. So I well, we've just been kind of like lagging it, and we've just been reaching out to anyone we admire. And because there'll be like, let's say like Riz Ahmed or the director of Riz Ahmed's most recent film. I didn't actually get to write this piece in the end, but I tweeted about the film, and then he liked it. So I DM'd him just out of the blue, and I was like, look, this is what I do. This is my publication. I've noticed that no people of color are reviewing this film, let alone Asians, and it's about being British Asian. And he was like, yeah, I've noticed that. I've been thinking about that too.
Riz Ahmed?
No, sorry, Bassam Tariq, the director of the Riz Ahmed film.
Because I saw he shared one of your story or something.
Riz Ahmed reposted my story because we're engaged and we're in love.
Okay.
Got it first. No, we'll come back to that. I just like to clarify so that I don't get like sued for defamation. Riz Ahmed's not in love with me yet. Yeah, so the director of Mogul Mowgli is Bassam Tariq. And so I tweeted about his film, and then I messaged him about how I didn't feel like a lot of South Asians were even reviewing the film, and how can you conduct a review without actually thinking about what it's trying to reflect or the community it's trying to represent? And so he was like, I really want to set something up. Let's try and make this work. But his PR got back to me too late. No shade intended. But this is the sort of thing, like when you reach out to someone and they're aware of the issues within their industry, they're aware of the communities they're trying to reach. And a lot of people are really happy to engage with like quite grassrootsy organizations or very like community-focused organizations. And so I think, again, a lot of stuff we had lined up was cancelled due to COVID. So I got onto the press call for the Long Goodbye Tour, Riz Ahmed again. There's a theme developing. I will be given a restraining order soon, but it's not happened yet. So I'm going to carry on.
Just keep going.
Yeah, until it comes, I'll just carry on. And then we were going to interview, there was a Sikh guy that won Bake Off and has a podcast called Do You Wear That in the Shower? Obviously referring to his turban. So he was going to do an interview with us. So there were just loads of people that like, they have quite a big platform and a big reach, and they just want to help out. And so we're actually doing a shoot this Wednesday in like 5 days with Ryan Langi. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's a DJ that runs a queer Bollywood night, and he was also the winner of Netflix's Big Flower Fight. And so he's got quite a big reach and is quite known within that sort of creative Asian community. And so we're doing a shoot with him, and like loads of brands have been willing to loan us like free clothing and accessories and stuff, and we've got a free studio space. And so people are just really excited to see like young creatives like going at something from a unique perspective, and everyone's willing to help out and give us freebies, most importantly.
Yeah, it's awesome. So like the studio space, like getting people to film or photo for the shoot, they're not being paid or anything. That's really cool.
If anyone wants to give us studio space to record on us.
Yeah, of course.
I think it's sadly a one-off photo shoot, but
it's decent. That's good.
It is, yeah. No, and we're really grateful as well, because we wouldn't be able to grow without people sort of taking a chance on us in that way. So.
Yeah. Any standout pieces that you think people should check out on MESA?
On MESA, let me have a look, because I don't want to do anyone disservice, but there is one I've got in mind. I just want to find out what it's called. Yes, so there was a piece by this really talented writer called Sarah Harris called We Need to Destigmatize Infertility in MESA Communities. And I feel like this just goes without, it doesn't even matter what topic it is, like any difficult or awkward conversation just does not take place, whether it's in the South Asian community or the Middle Eastern community. I think she was writing it from the sort of South Asian perspective. Mm-hmm. But so like sexuality, fertility, mental health, like these just aren't conversations that people are comfortable having or parents are comfortable having with their kids. And so she wrote a really powerful piece sort of going against that, and it was really moving. And so she talked about her own experience with endometriosis, which was really brave of her. So I really, really loved that piece. So everyone should check that out.
Yeah, awesome. And then with COVID and everything this year, what's it been like running that? Has that halted anything? We set up in March, literally days before, like we launched in March just before lockdown came. So everything that we'd sort of set up for our launch, loads of interviews that we had lined up, people had to cancel, and loads of events that we were going to cover, like film festivals and things like that, obviously didn't take place. But then at the same time, we've only ever known how to operate in lockdown. Like that's all we've ever known. So it's not like we had much to compare to in the past and then be sort of disappointed about. We just sort of had to make it work. Yeah. And it'll be really refreshing when things are back to normal to sort of look back and be like, oh, okay, it didn't need to be that hard. It was just that hard because of the year. I just think it's been hard to find
sort of stories when everything's been cancelled, all the events. And also like people, as much as people are more available because they've got less going on, at the same time, like people aren't necessarily in the best space, so they might not want to be interviewed, they might not be taking on any work or those sorts of things. So it's kind of, it's been a bit of a toss-up between those two, like availability and mental capacity.
Yeah.
I was like bringing it back like a couple of points ago. I was like, you know, the thing where people are like, or sometimes the PR may pull them out of like something or so on. It's just like, I hope that even once we inevitably make it with third wheel, that from our side, we still accommodate for anyone to come on the third wheel. Like, it's not going to hopefully matter. I hope that we can maintain that. I hope that we never get signed to anything or some deal that would prevent us from, or like having a team that would just block it. Like if we want it to happen, like someone can just message us. I'm hoping we're not.
What if they were paying us bags, you know?
Yeah, but.
Yeah, would you sell your soul for a Nando's?
What was that lyric? I'm not signed to a label, I'll scrap you or something. Was it Stormzy?
When did he say that?
I think it was was it I Don't Know? Or Ain't It Different? He was like, I'm not signed to something, I'll still scrap you or whatever it was. I don't know the exact lyrics off the top of my head right now, but there was a lyric here in his verse in Ain't It Different that he's like, I'm not signed, but then he didn't retaliate to Chips, so it was a bit peak, you know.
And that's who you're comparing yourself to, just to clarify, isn't it?
One day.
Yeah.
Got to dream big.
Exactly.
Anything else you want to touch on about MESA?
I think we've covered everything. Yeah, with the shoot, and like I think that we'll have a lot more to work with next year. So I'm excited to see what we do in that respect, and things are opening up a bit more. And we're super excited to do this shoot and sort of, so Ryan, obviously I said he runs a queer Bollywood night. He's like quite openly gay, and I think it's quite nice for gay Asians, to have someone to look to that's...
Is that a term, Gaysians? Is that... I've never heard that before.
Have you not?
Yeah.
There you go. I can't take credit for having coined it. I've heard it a couple times, but yeah, it is a term.
On the third wheel, you've coined it, so it's fine.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If that's all I've brought to this podcast, I'm happy. So I think like just having these sorts of, not even role models, but just faces and people whose experience reflect your own will be like nothing if not pleasant. So I'm excited to see how many more people and communities we can do that for.
Yeah, awesome. Links will be in the description, so anyone interested, go check it out. Yeah, moving on a bit, one thing you thought would be quite cool to talk about is like your kind of childhood and growing up in a northern British Pakistani household.
Yeah.
I don't know where to start with it, really.
No,
like,
I don't know where to start either. I just know that it's such it's a large part of what shaped me, so I thought...
Yeah, because when someone brings it up, you kind of... I don't know if it's... We've had like people on it before where like there's a lot of traditions there and it's quite strict and have to follow a lot of rules. But you kind of mentioned earlier how kind of your parents were quite open to kind of you being able to study what you wanted. Yeah,
so my parents they're a confusing one. They've got their set rules, but then when it came to things like piercings and jobs and stuff, they're quite open-minded and liberal. Like, I know that there are Asian Pakistani parents that like don't let their kids move out for uni, and so they want their kids to go to uni in the same city. Like, that's never been my parents. They've always had a really heavy education focus and a very men and women are equal mindset, because I'm the youngest of 6 sisters. There are no boys in our family in our immediate family to compare to.
Really?
Yeah. So they've always sort of championed us in that way. And so I think in some ways it's actually good that there's no boy to sort of have to differentiate between. So they've just treated all their kids the same in that respect. But then at the same time, there are very much so like they're fixed rules of like, you know, the sorts of people that they want you to end up marrying and things like that. So it's a bit of a confusing one, because you get like a taste for freedom with these really like seemingly liberal parents, but then at the same time, they're kind of like, hang on a minute. We give you these freedoms, not those ones. Stay in your lane.
There's like a line.
Yeah, there's a line. And I don't know, I find Pakistani culture very interesting, because the culture is not the religion. Like, it's some of the rules and the expectations, they don't stem from being Muslims, they stem from being Pakistani and the community and having that like sort of social standing and respect amongst their peers. Like you were saying, like it takes one person outside your family to sort of say that your career is okay, and then they'll believe it. Like, that very much so is a thing that sort of community approval above all else, which is something that I grapple with and criticize very often.
I still tell people, like, if your parents are telling you this, that, you don't have to fucking listen to them. Like, you can take me as an example. I'm not a good example, but I'm an example. Just don't listen to them.
You want to be like me?
Just do what you want, because you could try live their version of what they think is right for you, but
Yeah.
it's not going to work for everyone. So it's like everyone, you know, when like commonly as well, everyone in school was like, oh, I want to be earning the most amount of money. Yeah, if I go into economics and all that stuff, I'll earn more than you will in like 10 years and I'll be your boss, all that bullshit. Yeah, but I'm just like, those very same people now aren't earning as much as me. So it's just like a big L for the minute. Like, I'm just like what do you want me to do?
What a call about.
Nah, you know who you are. I'll send the clip to these, and then the rest they can listen to it in their own time. Yeah, but like basically, it's just like those things. Like you're living it just because someone else older than you or whatever. Like it could have been like friend or whatever. Like in the above years, told you that, oh, this is the best way to earn the most amount of money. They earn like they earn like 60K right outside of university as soon as you leave. I'm like, yeah, go on then. Like. And then it's just not like that for them. And then they're like, oh yeah, now I have to get like 5 more qualifications and then I'll earn like basically what we're earning now. I'm just like, look, yeah. And I can't say it often, yeah, because like it offends people, yeah. I'm just like, look, yeah, you're all talk back then, yeah, but it's but look where we are.
Paid off. Has it paid off?
Yeah, so like it's one of those things. Like I had a discussion with a few of my friends from back home. Like everyone was this all talk person back then, yeah, and there's really very few of us that have backed what we said we were going to do back then. Not entirely, but enough to the extent that like we didn't follow someone else's way. We tried to just do it. We still follow someone else's way, but we still try to not do it blindly because someone said this is the way you should do it.
Yeah.
But we're not saying we're pioneers here.
Do you think you'll ever have a school reunion?
No. If we do, it's gonna there's probably gonna be like, I'd say like a third of them are probably in jail. So like,
that is not what I thought you were going to say.
Some of them are probably like still in Syria or like caught in Syria, whatever it is.
You can have a school reunion in jail,
Where did you go to school?
I went to school. So I'm from North West London, like Stonebridge. So I went to Alpen. A lot of people in that year didn't turn out well, put it like that. So yeah.
Shout out Hamish for not going to jail.
No, don't do this. Don't do this.
Round of applause for Hamish for not going to jail.
No, the patronization.
No, I'm not even patronizing.
Yeah, but the thing is, I also didn't get. A lot of people always try to start showing me, so like I just wasn't. If that happens, yeah, I just know that there's just gonna be scraps here, like left, right, center. Like it doesn't matter. Like if I'm there, I'm just there to flex. Like I don't go out my way to flex or anything. Like, but if I'm there, I'm fucking flexing. Like I'm letting them all know, like this is what it is.
You're so funny.
The thing is, if a reunion happened, yeah, I know people are just going to instantly start off anyways or like kick off anyways, yeah. And it's a matter of at what point do I retaliate, yeah? Because the moment I verbally retaliate, I'm going to hit a nerve. Like I know I'm going to hit the nerve, yeah. So it's just a matter of when I retaliate, or like if I think it's worthy enough to retaliate at that point. But I know myself well enough to know I'm going to retaliate. So
are you guys still quite close friends with people that you went to high school with?
Like a few of them.
Okay.
Yeah. When I say a few, I mean like 3.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Because mine is 3 as well. I thought I was a loser, but fine,
yeah. I think 3's the key number. It's always 3 people. Do you call it high school?
What do you call it?
Secondary school.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then A level.
Is that because I'm a Tory? I don't know.
Oh.
Anything that doesn't fit with my behaviours or narratives, I just call Tory anyway. So yeah.
I'm not a Tory. That was a joke as well.
I think because my school was called Wilmslow High School, maybe that's why I do it. But
okay. Yeah.
Why was yours not called high school?
Mine's called community school.
Mine was just called Campion. It's actually an academy now.
Wait, Aaron, your area is a Tory area, right?
No, it's Labour. It's not.
Raynham is Labour?
Yeah.
Mad.
I don't know why you think this is...
Bro, when I walked in Raynham...
This is a nice area compared to your area, but I still wouldn't class it as like a posh area.
Mine's just a retirement village, so it's Tory.
Yeah, moving on from the Tories.
Sorry, yeah, I have a habit of doing that.
I want to bring up Aaron.
Throwback to me like 20 minutes ago talking about being impartial, and now I'm like Tory bashing.
No, I mean I do it often. So like, if someone else is joining in the good fight, then I'll gladly be there to fuel it.
I feel like as a year, 2020 is acceptable to Tory bash because even some Tories would agree. So
yeah, it took Marcus Rashford doing what he did for people to finally start publicly Tory bashing, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And then they bashed him back for owning property. So what can you do?
Yeah, they did. Scores against PSG though, so that's fine. Anyway, do you feel like people from Pakistan and people from India just get like grouped a lot?
Yeah, for sure. And they themselves would prove why that's a stupid thing to do. Like they literally put a border down the middle of their country to sort of establish different identities. But when you come out of that space and you go somewhere else, like for sure, I don't think people can tell the difference.
Yeah, once again, I did speak about a bit of this in the past. Like, there was always that stigma that, for example, one of my best friends, Waleed, from back home, so he was born in Pakistan and came here, but like he's like one of my best friends, and I never understood the concept. Obviously, I don't fully get the historical concept between India and Pakistan, anyways. Like, I know it's there, I know they have the beef, I understand that older people may not understand, but don't tell me to not be friends with one of my best friends just because that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know that even in like at uni, I noticed here that people would ask you that, and it's mainly to figure out like if they can relate to you on that origin background. But like,
Yeah.
I think like growing up in a diverse area, like it didn't matter. But like, I understand at uni people did that, but
Really? That's so fascinating. I didn't have that at uni, but that's because I'm a
they were like,
coconut.
"Oh, you're good. Oh, you Gujarati," like, and then they'll be shocked to find out I'm Gujarati, and then
Yeah.
I feel like that made me like more acceptable. I'm like, nah, I don't give a fuck. Like,
Yeah.
if you didn't consider me Gujarati before, were you gonna talk to me? Were you not? That's how I think about it. I mean, I just went on a tangent. I don't know why.
I think I was like kind of saying from a point of view, I guess, did people like assume you're just Indian?
No, everyone always assumes I'm Iranian.
Okay.
So I don't know I don't know how that ever fits into the narrative. But I used to like growing up myself. I used to think that was a compliment, like not being associated with Pakistan, which is really bad now because now I'm like I consciously try to embrace it. Whereas growing up, like if someone thought that I was Persian, I was like, oh, that's good because that means that no one knows I'm Pakistani, as though it was something to be embarrassed of. And as well, like being Muslim, I've got like the holy trinity of identity going on here. That the ones that no one fucking likes. But so yeah, I wouldn't say like, oh, I don't drink because I'm Muslim. I'd just be like, oh, I'm teetotal, and then never explain why. Or
You're what, though?
teetotal means that you don't drink.
Oh shit! I'm gonna use that one.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so I would say that instead, but apparently no one knows what that means. So there you go. Yeah, so I would just sort of, I would never explain why I behaved in the way I did. I knew why I was doing it for myself, and I obviously like was a religious person personally, but I felt like I didn't owe it to people to know that because they'd make certain assumptions about what I did do correctly and what I didn't do correctly and things like that. So I've always been quite elusive and private about it until recently, and now I'm a bit more vocal about, now that I'm quite sure of who I am, like openly saying like that I'm religious or that I'm Muslim. Yeah, so sort of embracing that Pakistani identity more, which is why I think MESA is so important for me. Like it allows me to do that.
Yeah, back on like the kind of growing up stuff. Some like kind of themes you raised before, like mental health, religion, and like family politics. So mental health first.
Mm-hmm. I think that like it's heavy, but we're taking a turn. So my grandparents only came to this country because my uncle and aunt were involved in an accident that caused them to like lose limbs. So there was like a factory nearby, and I think that they ended up getting that like a scarf that my aunt had borrowed off my grandma stuck in this thing. So she went to try and retrieve it, and in the process, like her arm got caught, and then the same thing happened to my uncle. And so my grandparents came here to sort of help assimilate to like, well, a British culture was probably a bit more accepting of disabilities and probably had better medical treatment for it. So that's the only reason my grandparents came here, and they fully expected to go back. They just sort of wanted to get treatment for my uncle, who did eventually end up passing away as a child. So I've never met him. So I think like, obviously she came to this country and then lost her child and was quite depressed. And then I think that there's something to be said about like intergenerational trauma. Like obviously going through that loss and then raising your other kids will affect them. And then the way that they then raise their kids will be affected by their relationship with their mother. And so I think that mental health has like these traumatic things happen to people. Like you mentioned partition earlier, like partition stories are wild. There's so many fucked up stories that people have of being like, you know, killed and torn from their land and things like that, and coming to Britain to start over whilst all that's going on. And so I think like really traumatic shit happens to migrants, but they don't prioritize mental health in a way where like, if something like that happened now, people might be inclined to like go to therapy to work it out or something. But because mental health's just not even a consideration for those communities, you just sort of get on with it. And so I think that stays within a family and it just sort of filter through. And then I think yeah, I think I was definitely affected by some of that. And then going to uni as well, like when things would get hard in terms of mental health, like people would just tell you to sort of pray it away, or like pray or focus on your spirituality, and that will help. But to be honest, like when you're like really depressed or you're down and you can't even get out of bed, it's hard to sort of pray or to have faith in God when you sort of in that headspace, if that makes sense. So I think that's some of the issues within like Asian and Muslim identity and its relationship to mental health, is like it tries to have an answer for everything, but some things there aren't, like some things can't be, dealt with prayer, and some things do need to be spoken about. And so I think those are the things that I personally would like to work on and change and see reflected back within the community.
Yeah. And then religion.
Mm-hmm.
Was religion quite a strong thing growing up?
Yeah, it was. And I think I was like devoutly religious in a sort of non-questioning way until I was at uni when my grandparents passed away. And then when that sort of anchor within your family, like, and you're a migrant family as well. So like that is the start and end of your British heritage or British relation and your relationship back to Pakistan. So when they passed away, I sort of felt a little bit uprooted, and I was like, the anchor or the sort of motivation to be religious kind of lifted for me then. And I think that's when I became a little bit more questioning about what was and wasn't right for me. And I never sort of stopped being religious, but I just sort of put a pin in it whilst I examined other parts of my identity and like focused on mental health and things like that. So I think, yeah, that's the way in which I sort of went about that, if that makes sense.
But it wasn't something you felt like was enforced.
I would say like nothing was in, like I've never been forced to like wear a headscarf or anything like that. So nothing that would impact my life in a way that would cause resentment. But I guess like there were things that you just do and you might not necessarily know why you're doing it. So I think it's really important to actually research into your own faith as you're growing up, to know why you're doing things and you're not just inheriting behaviors for the sake of it. But like fasting would be normal, but again, like nothing was ever like forced, but it's just sort of a standard of expectation. And if you're able to do things, then I think you're like, oh, okay, then I should do it if I'm able to. So yeah, nothing was ever forced on me in a way that like would impact me going out of the house and feeling as a different way about it. But I do think that there were things that I'd just sort of copy from around me that I've now grown to question and either reject or confirm that is something I want to continue doing.
Yeah. When do you fast?
So it changes year round. So the Islamic calendar will change year round. At the moment, I think it's pretty much in the summer, but it'll shift every few years and eventually end up in the winter. Like the last time it was in the winter was when I was in primary school. So that's sort of the length of time we're talking about. But yeah, it changes each year, but it's 40 days of a particular Islamic month of Ramadan.
And where does that like come from? Like, why do you fast?
So you sort of fast to, I guess, be at one with yourself and God and your own thoughts, and to sort of humble yourself and to sort of experience as well what those less fortunate feel. And so it's just sort of like as well like a bit of a palate cleanser, and you just sort of come back into yourself and your spirituality. And I think like when you are like hungry and stuff, you do sort of withdraw and go within to yourself and your own thoughts. And so it's quite a meditative and reflective thing to do. And that's sort of the spiritual side of it. And then the sort of more charitable side is to experience, what other people may go through.
I remember like from like uni onwards, like I noticed that there wasn't, I wouldn't say there was as much acceptance of like people doing Ramadan and stuff, or like care, because obviously a lot of people didn't grow up around it. So like I saw like, for example, when people were doing Ramadan, like me personally, like, because obviously I grew up around, and I said like one of my best friends will lead, so like I would go out of my way to make sure we're not like doing anything like eating or anything like around it, because like I could imagine if I was fasting, I couldn't probably see someone eating right in front of me, because I'll be starting to get hungry, right? So like I just do stuff like that to avoid it. But like at uni, it was like more reckless as well. Like they bring food into the places where they're studying and stuff, and because like the smell of it, like it can start triggering your like stomach as well. Because even though it's 40 days and you get used to it near the end, I'd say a little bit, but like you can't.
That's it. It's like when you have to step out of the community or a family home, and it's obviously a test to see like if you can keep these sorts of things up. And then I guess you find out what's important to you if you're keeping it up when it's not convenient or easy to do.
Yeah, like that's one of the things I noticed, and I was just like, I don't understand why people have to make it more complex. Just like if they're fasting, it just maybe like maybe it's just my point of view.
But did you say like people knew they were fasting?
In some cases, yeah, but like they were like, that's their choice or whatever, you know, like it was a bit more like ignorance, whereas I was like, for me at least, obviously maybe there's a bit of bias because obviously the area I grew up in, so I was just like, yeah, I wouldn't actively try to eat in front. It's like Dubai as well. In Ramadan, they have rules also that you can't eat out in public or something like that. I don't know what exactly the rules are, but
Everyone seems to be in Dubai at the moment.
Everyone's in Dubai. Even my
Yeah.
sister's in Dubai. She's
wait.
been there for like a month.
I thought that was a meme.
No.
I thought it was a meme at first, then I started looking on Instagram and like everyone's stories were just in Dubai. I'm
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Okay. I thought people were fully trolling because I saw that trending one day, and I was just trying to figure out. I'm like, okay, there must be some meme that I don't get here. I'll have to ask Aaron one day when I get a chance what that was about. But if that was legit, then fair enough.
I think everyone just decided to escape. And then Emirates apparently were changing, like you could change your flight like for free. So then loads of people were just staying there because they were allowed to change their flights and stuff like that. So no meme.
Yeah, I don't know if I interrupted someone there.
I don't know, we're just kind of like finishing up. Like I thought like it would be more understanding of like, you know, like other cultures given the current like era or like the year we're in where we learned so much. Well, not year, I guess last year. When I say year, I'm still kind of like in my head, it's still like March for some reason. I don't know why. but like, yeah, so I just think like, even in the office and so on, like, why can't just people just eat elsewhere so like it's easy on them? Because like, imagine having like your normal lunch break when working and then like people just eating, like, it must be so tough. Like, I would work from home the entire month. I'll say, fuck that.
So my workplace bank was actually really good for that. So they'd be like, if you just work through your lunch, then you can go home early. And that was really nice to like, I was so grateful for like that small gesture because I'm so used to people just not being that bothered or being considerate in that way. So that was, yeah, you do appreciate the small things more then.
But one thing I also appreciate, like hanging around, I said, like, what do you do? Like, there'll be times at the end of Ramadan, during Ramadan, where we'd obviously meet up like later on in the eve. So obviously he could have eaten at home. But whilst we're waiting there, like, some of the food is always amazing. And obviously, one thing I know is common between Indian and Pakistani households, despite how much they obviously hate each other, like, is that they always treat, like, the guests, like, get basically pampered. And basically, it never changes. Yeah, like, I try to avoid being in that situation, like, as the guest anyways. But, like, I just remember, like, because the food's always so nice. Like, we share so much food.
Yeah.
And, like, it's always so nice. So it's always nice being there during Ramadan. Nowadays, I can't eat it because it's too spicy for me. But, like, you know, it's just...
Too spicy for you?
Oh, no, I can't have spice anymore.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. Yeah, it's just, like, it's amazing, like, being around.
You could have spice anyway. I don't know what you're talking about.
What do you mean? Oh, no. Like, uni lost my tolerance. And then, obviously, everything else happened. So, it was what it was. But then, like...
What do you order at Nando's? You've mentioned Nando's a lot, so I want to know.
Yeah. Usually mango and lime or lemon. Oh! Recently, there's no mango and lime.
I don't want to continue with this podcast anymore.
I know. I did still keep trying to do do you know, the wild herb and garlic sauces? I still kept trying to do those, but in recent times, they don't really always put it in your Nando's order. So it's a bit tragic. So it is what it is. I still have peri peri chips though.
Okay.
You know, a little bit of pain sometimes.
You mentioned a similarity. What's the main difference between an Indian and a Pakistani household, if even there is?
I would say, like, obviously the food you eat maybe a little bit because I think they can eat beef if they're Muslim, then they can eat beef because it's halal.
Is it Hindus or is it Sikhs that are veggies? Sikhs, isn't it?
No, both can be either. Both can, like, depending on, I don't know how it exactly works here, but for example, I'm not a veggie, even though I mainly eat veggie food.
Okay.
Like, I'm not veggie. I'm veggie on certain days for religious reasons, but for example, I can eat chicken and fish and lamb, but I only would eat chicken nowadays anyway, if I had to.
What about pork?
But I think we can. I think I've actually had it as a child because I think my dad took us to a place where they were like giving it, and I just didn't like it. Like, but that's also just me being fussy. But
so with all the complexities of India and Pakistan, we've settled on the main difference is you eat pig and we eat beef.
No, but the thing is, I wouldn't say like it's common to eat pork or anything, like, because
it's a random.
Yeah, it's just like it's just a couple of Indians here and there may, but like I'd say that the things they have are like the tandoori dishes are quite good between them that they share. So like usually I think Gujarat and Pakistan have a lot of common dishes.
Like drinking, I would say that's a big one.
Oh yeah. I mean, at uni I saw that change quite a lot though. So I don't know what to think of that.
Are we naming and shaming? No.
There you go. That's one rule I've never broken.
What else? I can't think of like many differences really. I'd say they have like prayer times in the day that I wouldn't necessarily think I have as well was aware of as a Hindu.
I guess dating as well.
Wait, what's the difference?
What's the difference there?
Like, you are just allowed, aren't you?
Are we?
Are you not? I don't know.
I'm not saying that we're not allowed. I'm just not sure that there was a denial on either side. I thought the parents were basically the same, yeah. So that if they found out and they weren't like, say for example, they weren't Indian and Hindu and blah blah
Yeah,
blah.
yeah,
I thought it was just the general bullshit. Like it's the same thing. If they're not from that same culture, there's
Oh
no way
yeah,
they're coming in the
but,
house.
yeah, probably. But I don't even think you're. I don't know. It's really weird with Muslims. Like they're just expected to never talk to a boy or a girl until they're like 25, and then they're expected to just marry. And you're like, okay, but where are the social skills that allow for a marriage when you've told each other not to talk to each other for a quarter of a century?
Now, honestly, yeah, my parents during parenting, so like my dad's obviously more understand. My mom, yeah, she's like, oh, you just said hi to that girl, yeah. Like, I'm like, who is she? And I'm like, shut up, man. Like, it's fucking cool. Do you not talk to that uncle or something? Do I say you? And do I ask all these questions? Like,
what girl was that about, Hamish?
No, it's nothing. It's literally just like someone
Who
in the
did you
class,
say
yeah.
hi to, Hamish?
Yeah.
Honestly, and then like I'll be at like my brother's like parents' evening or something, or like if we're walking to a family event or something, yeah. And then my brother just like nods his head down, and I'm like, and then she's like, I'm like, stop, man, like leave him, man, let him be here. Like it's just a classmate. Like, do you not want them to speak to people? Like, what can he do?
It's so bizarre. It just is bizarre.
I think if you put a white family in my house, you wouldn't think it was out of place, to be honest.
Oh, okay, interesting. Why do you say that?
We don't really follow a lot of the.
Yeah, Aaron's household's not very Asian. They're Asian, but they're not very Asian. If that makes sense.
Okay, I see.
What
Yeah.
your mom likes incense sticks though. So like, that's like.
I don't know if that like means anything.
That's ethnic as it gets. That's very like we went to India once for summer. We got these incense sticks back. Is that how it is?
No. It's a bit more Indian than that. We like to have a rice and curry now and then. Well, not that we. Well, actually, my mom likes to. My mom likes to. Me and my sisters we're like, no, we don't want that.
After living in like out of family home for like 5 years, I guess, uni and then London. Like, oh, I love it, curry.
But yeah, cool. I don't know if there's anything much you want to touch on that, or we can go on to a bit of a more light-hearted Spotify Wrapped.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Mine, it's been a tough year. I don't feel like this has been very reflective of me, and I
said this last year. I feel like Spotify Wrapped isn't. I don't know. I still question the validity. Of these results.
I think mine are valid. I'm just ashamed of them.
Okay.
Oh no, I think I just want to understand how they classify certain artists on certain genres more like.
Yeah, because I don't listen to any. Oh, but no, that'll ruin the game. Okay.
Oh yeah. Wait, actually, like the 4 or 5 people, that voted that I was listening to Aaron's music taste, what the fuck? When you listen to these podcasts and you hear the shout, how can you ever think I was going to be listening to the Beatles? Like, what?
Aaron, you are white.
Yeah, people voted for mine for yours as well. So like, I'm not. I wasn't listening to M Huncho, maybe a bit, but
yeah. How could I was like Aaron listening to M Huncho head he won? Like, what do people think of Aaron?
Okay, I feel like we've given away this game already.
Yeah,
so,
sorry. It was too emotional. It was too emotional though. All right, the first slide is basically talking about new artists discovered. How many did you get, Armani?
207.
Oh, jeez. Aaron?
I got 279.
Oh, bro. I got 129.
Oh, interesting. Stick to what you know.
Yeah, kind of. Especially this year as well.
I just listen to Discover Weekly a lot, so I guess I'm just automatically listening to new.
No, I've got that habit where, like, when you get a song stuck in your head, you have to play it like 100 times until you hate it, and then you never listen to it again. That's what I do.
I feel that. When you see that, that later on in the slide, there's a one song that you listen to so much in the year.
Yeah.
That's for that one song. Oh, crazy.
And it's like, clearly I was going through something. Do you have to like expose my trauma back to me? Like, you didn't need to go that hard. Yeah.
The next slide is my top genres.
But I think this is unfair, but it said pop, which I retched at, and then hip hop, and then soul, rock, and then dance pop, whatever the fuck that is.
Was that order 1 to 5 or 5 to 1?
1 to 5.
Oh, okay.
Pop being 1, and I don't think that's fair.
Yeah, I can get that.
I demand a recount.
Aaron?
I'm kind of the same. So I got pop number 1 as well, and I don't think that's fair. But I think pop just counts for so much.
Yeah, I think
like probably on Spotify they classify like probably loads of stuff as pop, so it just probably most of the time it is. So I got pop number 1, soul number 2, soft rock number 3, number 4 neo mellow, and number 5 rap.
That's such an Aaron thing.
I got rap in number 5, mate.
What's neo mellow?
I don't know. The Neo confuses me. Mellow, I'm thinking like, a bit of old school, like Magic.
Okay, my top genres are number 1, UK hip hop, but that's I think because they don't actually have the categories on Spotify for the stuff I listen to. Number 2 is pop rap. Now I don't know what classifies as pop rap.
Probably
So
Stormzy, no?
I guess.
I think Drake classes as pop rap.
Oh yeah, Drake, man.
I think Drake's.
But I don't think I listen to that much.
Stormzy could be pop rap as well. Yeah.
Number 3 is pop. Number 4 is rap. And number 5 is Desi Pop. So I don't know what class says Desi Pop here because I don't remember listening to Desi music.
For the culture.
That's jokes.
The next one. So we'll keep the order going. So the next one is your top song.
Yeah, a song. Mine was Just For You, Sam Cooke. It's a soul artist.
Okay, I see.
Oh, Sam Cooke.
Yeah.
Mine was a song called Toto by Drax Project.
Is that a cover or something?
No, it's not a cover. I think I found it on my Discover Weekly. Then it's one of those songs I just kept listening to, like as you said.
Have you got any songs where like you'll search for it, but there's another song with the same name that always ends up playing just because it's next to it, and then it ends up in your stats? Because I've got some of those.
I make sure I'm never in that situation because I don't want to listen to other stuff. It would spoil my mood if I have to listen to something else just because it had the same name. So I make sure I set it to like loop the one song over and over.
Yeah.
I don't think I've been in it. Are you thinking of like Toto, Africa by Toto?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. I'm like, I thought you would.
They mentioned that like there's a lyric in that song which like mentions it.
My one is Honcho for Mayor by M Honcho, which doesn't surprise me one bit in this. And the very next slide is actually the amount of streams you did for it. So, Armani, how many streams were for yours?
113.
Oh, bro.
Apparently I only streamed this 20 times. And that was my top song.
Mad. So mine's is first stream is January 26th. 100th stream is January 31. And I'm pretty sure it released around that time as well. Day with most streams is February 1st. And then total streams is 476. Absolutely throughout the year.
The fuck?
You were really feeling it.
Yeah.
You really went in for mayor.
There was some lyrics in there like, yeah, I've never had a rich neighbor, but now my neighbors have a rich neighbor. Yeah, I'm like, that's the future. That's the future.
You felt represented.
That's when you go to prison and you're going to like shout that over your schoolmates.
The next one is my top songs, I think, unless I missed the section here.
Oh, this is where it all gets a bit embarrassing, really.
Go on.
Well, the Hamilton soundtrack pissed all over my stats.
Hamilton soundtrack?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. It was a tough
Hamilton's a theatre show. It was a play.
Broadway show, yeah, sorry. Okay, so Just For You, Sam Cooke, as we know. Then I have 2 Riz Ahmed songs because I've got to support my husband in his career. And then I had a Mora Massa Complicated, which I don't even think I listened to that much. I think it's one of those ones that comes on in a playlist and then I skip it. So I don't know why it's there, but...
All right.
So number 1 was Toto by Drax Project. Number 2 was When You're Ready by Shawn Mendes. That's actually a great song, you know. Number 3 was Loco and Acapulco by Four Tops. Tune. Number 4, Somebody Else's Guy by Jocelyn Brown. Another tune. And then Sexual Healing by Marvin Gaye.
That's a good one.
Wait. Your top song was listened to 20 times. So how many times was the second, third, fourth, and fifth?
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like there were a lot more. I feel like there were a lot more.
Right.
I definitely listened to Sexual Healing by Marvin Gaye like a fucking ton. So.
To be honest, like...
a morning ritual, what you wait for.
Yeah.
Get ready for the day. Shawn Mendes, you cannot forgive.
I feel it's very underrated.
Mine's I could understand there'll be a top 2 like clash. Like the second place. So the first one was Honcho for Mayor by M Honcho. Second one was Wait Till I Finish by M Honcho, which I thought could have been the first place. Third one, I don't know how to pronounce this now actually because they never mentioned the name in the song. So it's P Psalm 35. It could be Psalm 35 or something. I'm not sure. By Heady One. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Fourth one is Part of the Plan, Nate Smalls and M Honcho. And the fifth one is Growth by M Honcho. So I basically had that entire album on loop over and over and over again throughout the entire year.
Consistency.
You should tweet him, M Honcho.
Yeah, I should, because I'm in his top. Oh, wait, we'll get to that. The next one I think is the podcast one.
Yeah, mine are all How to Fail by Elizabeth Day. Sorry, guys.
I don't listen to podcasts on Spotify, so it's...
I actually only listened to like one for a short bit, and it was pretty personal. It was like 318 minutes, listened to 8 in one day, and then I never listened to another one. I think that was when I was on annual leave. I was on annual leave then, so I was just burning.
She's a previous guest. You can't say that.
Yeah, we listen.
Go listen to her episode.
Yeah, go listen to her episode, yeah. And her podcast. Yeah, so that was mine. Wait, what was yours, podcast-wise?
Oh, it was just third wheel because I
Okay.
don't listen to podcasts on Spotify.
Hey, big up the third wheel. I don't know if I want to really say my throwback track because I don't know if this is an accurate representation. What is Right Now by Akon?
Wait.
Oi, what were you on?
Honestly, I don't know. That's not like it's not really an accurate representation, but that made it there.
Someone was in their feels that day.
Yeah, probably. All right, the next one is Popeyes.
For the millionth time, if you're playing a drinking game and you drink every time I say Riz Ahmed, Sam Cooke, Hamilton, Beyonce, Joy Crooks. I've pulled it back with a cool one, I would like to hope.
Mine was JP Cooper, number
Who
one.
the fuck is JP Cooper?
You don't know JP Cooper? No, actually, JP Cooper is lit. Yeah, I can
Yeah,
certify
JP
that.
Cooper is really cool. You should listen. You'd like him if you like
Yeah.
like.
You'd have heard his
soul
song
stuff.
September
He's
song.
quite a
Like
soul
that was
singer.
his most common or popular
Okay.
song.
I'm on it.
Number 2, Shawn Mendes. Number 3, Hosier. Number 4, The Beatles. Number 5, and Elton John.
Can I say people voted for me to have listened to Elton John and the Beatles?
John. I'd never put you with Elton John.
Elton John, what a guy, man! Some absolute bangers.
He's a
man.
very strange man. Like
Okay, yeah, a bit strange, but he's got some tunes.
he does have some tunes, but he's just a weird little frog man. He reminds me of a frog.
I can see that
To Elton.
with some sunglasses on.
Yeah, sparkly funnies.
And mine's is M Honcho, Heady One, Nay Smalls, Skepta, and Drake.
Consistent.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I feel like mine's really
So-
chaotic, but you know yourself, whereas I'm like 5 different people.
The thing is, yeah, I have listened to other stuff, but this year I feel like it's very easy to stay in the same loop because we're not going out. We're in the same
Groundhog.
environment, staying in that same
True.
loop right now. Whereas if last year, for example, we would have been like going out, we would have been heading to people's houses to record.
Exactly, yeah,
We would
yeah.
have been having meals out. It was all sorts of different. So I feel like
But that makes me feel worse if this is my authentic self.
oh Lord.
Yeah, I'm probably going to find listening back to this very triggering because I'm a very nasal person, I think, and I just don't need to be reminded.
Nasal person.
Yeah, like you talk through your nose.
Nose.
Oh, how do you talk through your nose? Am I
Yeah.
like,
You
It
just
sounds- it kinda
sounds
sounds
like
like-
you've got a blocked nose, basically.
oh, okay.
I'm like that all the time.
Yeah, my dad used to say my sister used to sing like that.
Savage.
But yeah, awesome. I think this is some
Good.
interesting statistics. Big up Shawn Mendes. but
I do not endorse your bigging up of Shawn Mendes.
no, there's only like a few songs I like, but okay, we'll move on. We'll move on. Yeah, let's round it all up now. So we got some final questions.
Yes.
We end each episode with some final questions, a call out, and a shout out. So if you start with the final questions, first one is, what would the name, if you're writing like your own book, your own autobiography, what would you title it?
I'm gonna have to say woke, broke, and quick with a joke. The Armani Syed story, and I have thought about that a lot. So
Fantastic.
I already knew my answer to that, so that's why I picked it. I was like, I joke with my friends about that all the time. So there you go.
That's good. That's good.
Broke and quick with a joke.
The next one is, if you were making a documentary, what would it be about?
Oh, this is less funny. So I don't know if I should be giving my best ideas out. Actually, well,
Give us-
Wait, we're going to
second ones.
patent it, so be careful.
not to you guys. I trust you guys, but you might have a rogue. No, I'm interested in the concept of like relationships that never quite happened, and so I'd be quite interested to do one on like the one that got away. So you'd speak to people who, like, let's say they grew up in a community where they couldn't be gay, or they had an arranged marriage but they actually liked somebody else, like those sorts of things. So I'd be quite interested to know, like, to interview like old people, young people, whatever it is, about like the one that got away. So yeah, look out.
That's definitely the kind of thing I'd probably watch on Netflix.
Like a Humans of New York type situation where you just talk to random people about their love life.
Third and final question. So this is a question we ask each guest,
This is hard.
and that is, what has been your most memorable third wheeling experience?
I feel like I must have really good ones that I don't remember, but I guess the one that I do is like, we were like, obviously, if I haven't said it enough, like quite working class background, so I always share like a room with siblings. And so for some reason, when I was in year 5, I was sharing a room with my eldest sister, who was like about like 26 at the time, and she would be like getting to know like guys and like dating on the phone and like having phone chats, and I'd be like in the bed next to her, just like sat there like cool, like having no idea what any of it meant or what was going on, but I'd just be like sat there next to her, and like if I had that now, I'd be like very fucking uncomfortable, but apparently she was calm with it. So
Yeah, that's so weird to like imagine.
Yeah, like getting to know the guy that's now your husband, sat next to your fucking 10-year-old annoying sister is just not a vibe, really, is it? But there you go. That's the one I remember, but I'm sure I've got loads.
No, that's mad. The next extra is like a nomination. So you can nominate one or many people to hopefully be a guest on the third wheel in the future, provided they want to obviously come on.
Oh.
So, yeah.
I know I really should have thought about this ahead of time, so I didn't just sit here with a blank. But
Yeah,
This is why we did a plan.
yeah. I think you guys should get Jack Prev on. Jack Previsa. I think he's very funny. So you'd have a good time with Jack Previsa. And you actually know him through the bore as well.
Awesome. We'll get in touch. And last thing's a shout out. So basically anything you want to just like plug or promote.
Yeah.
Now's the time.
I want to plug and promote Tape Letters, which is the project I do some press and comms for, because there's some really cute stories on there and it's just a really beautiful project and I'm happy to be working on it. And yeah, I suppose MESA as well. I think everyone should look out for the shoot we're doing with Ryan Lange. We're shooting it next Wednesday and it'll probably be out within December. So those are my 2 shout outs.
Awesome. Hamish?
Yeah, so this one actually, I don't understand how the release of this mixtape lined up with this episode where we spoke about what we spoke about, because it's called Product of My Environment by Abracadabra and it has a few proper bangers on it, so go listen to it. I'll add the ones that people may like to the Shoutouts playlist I have. So yeah, also go check out my Spotify. And yeah, Aaron, you.
I am going to shout out. He's an automatic shout out. I think I've got his vinyl.
He's going to be like, there's nothing holding me back from shouting him out, if you got the reference.
It sounds like you're a big Shawn Mendes fan.
Right.
But anyway, I'm going to shout out a good friend of ours, Yashas Bodambai. He'll have a book by the time this releases, he'll have a book out.
That's sick.
Title to be confirmed. Currently, like in the moment, kind of like designing his cover and he's getting like some final edits done. But yeah, by the time this episode comes out, his book should be out. So yeah, link for that will be in the description. So go buy it.
What's the gist of the book? What's he writing about?
At the moment, I don't know if I can like say.
Oh yeah, true.
But, like,
I was going to ask him today morning, like if when it was coming out, so we could shout out appropriately. Yeah, Aaron designed the cover, and he forgot.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, like I'm designing it at the moment.
All right.
I haven't like finished it. Unless you think it looks bad, then I didn't do it, and someone else did it. But yeah, link for that will be in the description, hopefully. And it's all I believe all the money's for that's going to charity as well. So
amazing.
Yeah, go buy it. Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Armani, for coming on.
No, thanks for having me and forcing me out of bed before 10 o'clock. Still bitter about that.
yeah, apologies.
It was an amazing catch up though. So
yeah, it was. It's been like 2 hours, right?
Yeah.
2.5. Wow.
So yeah, hope everyone else enjoyed it, and we'll just speak to you next week. All right, see you everyone.
All right, man. Have a good day. See ya. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.